out of nowhere, I get fired from my job for posting a TikTok that I had actually filmed at work. And so I decided to take that as a sign from the universe. I was like, you know what? This is my sign that it's time to really go full throttle with the things that I want to do. I ended up actually manifesting a gig as a social media manager, making 6 times the amount of money that I was making at my original job. So my name is Nadia Khaled. I am 24 years old. I am an entrepreneur and alignment coach. So in undergrad, I studied psychology because I've really always been fascinated by human behavior. That's something that's always been a passion of mine. I wanted to help people on a mental level, like using psychology. And I really wanted to have a secure income. And at first, I thought that being a therapist was like my dream. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be a therapist. That's what I want to aspire to become. And so after I graduated with that degree in psychology, I enrolled into a master's program to become a clinical therapist. And I got a job as an addictions counselor to kind of solidify that path because I could get clinical hours as an addiction counselor that would count towards my master's degree. And so to paint a picture of what my projected life path looked like at that point, I was set to work as an addictions counselor, making very little income for several years. I was going to go into tens of thousands of dollars of debt paying for this master's degree that I obviously could not afford. And I was pursuing something that I loved, but it was given to me in a structure that was not enjoyable, which is through the master's program. I mean, I was miserable. I was swamped with homework 24/7. I mean, all of us really know what it feels like to be studying something that you don't really enjoy, right? I mean, psychology was fun in undergrad, but my master's degree, it was all these papers that I didn't enjoy doing at all. I was so burnt out all the time. I was somehow still super tight on money, even though I was working 40 hours a week, and sometimes a few times a month I was working the overnight shift at my job. So I was constantly stressed about paying my tuition. I was resentful at the same time because I'm like, I'm going into debt for this master's degree. I don't even enjoy the master's degree, and I know I'm not going to be making that much money after everything is said and done. And again, I was depressed because I really couldn't see a way out. Like I hated what I was doing, and there was no light at the end of the tunnel where I was like, okay, it'll all be worth it because of A, B, and C. So in my free time, I would spend time doing the things that made me feel excited and reinvigorated about my life again. And for me, that meant reading books about psychology. And that kind of led me into territory of manifestation and neuroscience and all those cool kind of they would call them woo-woo subjects, right? And so the reason why I was so drawn to those things is because it gave me hope. Because with manifestation, it's all about infinite potential, right? Like you get to choose the trajectory of your life. You create your reality and your experiences. And reading those books really gave me that sense of hope that wait, it's not all beyond me. I'm not trapped here. Nothing has to be decided for me. I can change this point in my life at any time. And so I spent so many hours in Barnes & Noble. And again, this isn't something that felt like homework to me. This felt like fun. This felt like, oh my gosh, I need to learn more about this. This is so exciting. This is so cool. And I started seeing patterns between my belief systems and the way that I was thinking and feeling and the kind of experiences that I was attracting. And so I had this light bulb moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm seeing it on a smaller scale, but I totally could do this on a bigger scale where I could change my career. I could change my circumstances. I could change the bigger things because I've literally seen, for example, when I would go to bed in a really bad mood and I would wake up in a really bad mood, things that could go wrong that day would usually go wrong. I would not have a good day, right? My mood was directly correlated to what I was experiencing in my everyday life. And then when I started saying things like affirmations and doing these little manifestation rituals to kind of boost my mood and align with what I wanted to experience, I started having better days. I started attracting things very intentionally. And that's kind of when I started making TikToks. I started making TikTok videos about these revelations that I was having and the things that I was learning. And I read this one book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It made me realize that I could change my reality by changing who I am, by changing my personality, my emotional patterns, my belief patterns, my habits, my state of being. And again, I started making those TikTok videos about what I was learning, and they started going really viral. They did really, really well on TikTok, even though I was just posting it to post it, because this is just a creative outlet for me to talk about what I'm thinking about and learning about. Once they started going viral, I was like, okay, let me try to manifest maybe an income by making these TikToks, right? Because you will see influencers and people on social media, and they're making all this money. So I was like, okay, let me just try to manifest an income from my social media. And I started manifesting brand deals, influencing kind of collaborations where I was making literally double the amount that I was making at my job, which I was still working at this point. Then out of nowhere, I get fired from my job for posting a TikTok that I had actually filmed at work. And that was out of nowhere. I had no idea that was coming. And so I decided to take that as a sign from the universe. I was like, you know what? This is my sign that it's time to really go full throttle with the things that I want to do and actually really keep aligning with the things that I want. which I realized at the time was the freedom and the lifestyle of an entrepreneur. I ended up actually manifesting a gig as a social media manager, making 6 times the amount of money that I was making at my original job. So this, for me, this is what allowed me to pay off all my debt. I stopped my master's because I was like, you know what? I am just, again, going full throttle. I'm stopping anything that does not feel aligned with me right now and going full force on everything that does. So I stopped my master's. I paid off all of my debt with this new income, kept manifesting more brand deals. And then I realized, you know what? I don't have to give up my dream of being a therapist or somebody who helps people mentally. I could totally do that as a coach. And that's where coaching really came in. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I have the natural skill set of somebody that can help people, connect with people on an emotional and mental level, and help kind of teach them the mindset tools that they need to be able to reinvent themselves and their reality as well. Kind of like replicating my own process. And so that's where I decided, you know what? I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to see where this leads me. And eventually I landed my first client that she found me through TikTok, actually. And that was my first client that I worked with. It was like a 2-month coaching package. And I helped her manifest her dream apartment in New York City in the 2 months that we were working together. And I was like, oh man, I could totally do this. I could totally keep going with it and really do it on a bigger scale. And that's when I ended up signing on more clients and kind of expanding the business. And then I grew it to a 6-figure business in a matter of like 8 months. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm manifesting amazing things. I'm helping my clients manifest amazing things. And so ever since then, it's kind of been like the rest of it is history. I'm just continuing to grow my business and see more clients and do group coaching programs. But that's how I got into being a manifestation coach. It's interesting because you would think people want to manifest X, Y, and Z, like a very specific outcome. But really what people are looking to manifest is a life that feels aligned, whether it's career, whether it's love life, whether it's relationships, social relationships, friendships, whatever it is. People are looking to enjoy the experiences that they're having on a daily basis. And usually when they come to me, it's because of something specific like a job, like, oh my gosh, I really can't stand my job anymore. For example, I had one client of mine who was working a 9-to-5 as a fashion designer. She absolutely hated it. She'd been doing it for 10 years, but she wanted to ultimately be a writer. That was her big dream. And she just didn't know how to manifest it or bridge the gap between where she was right now and where she actually wanted to be. So when my clients come to me, they're stuck in a place that they don't want to be in anymore. It feels completely unaligned. They just don't know how to get themselves out of that situation. They don't know how to use manifestation. Maybe they've heard of manifestation before, but they don't really know how to apply it. And so they come to me to kind of help them get unstuck. Number 1, to figure out what they really do want out of life. And number 2, learn how to align themselves energetically with it so they don't have to do all the heavy lifting. Because that's the beauty of manifestation, is it's basically energy work, right? You're just aligning yourself subconsciously with the reality or the experiences that you want to have. And that's how you start to attract them without you having to figure out every step of the way to get there. Manifestation is essentially the bridge between your thoughts and emotions and the experiences that you're having in your tangible reality, right? The basis of this is that everything is made out of energy. Your thoughts, your emotions, your everyday experiences, these are all forms of energy. And so what you're doing when you're manifesting something is you are aligning your thoughts and your emotions with the version of events that you want to experience, thus allowing it to be attracted into your tangible reality. Right. And so what this means is it's a delicate balance between feminine energy and masculine energy. And if you think about it like this, right, manifestation is essentially another word for creation. It's when something goes from intangible or like not physical into physical, right? Everything that has ever been manifested has started as an idea, right? Think of all the major inventions. All of those things started as a concept that was intangible. It was just a thought, and then it became manifested into physical reality. And so when we're talking about manifestation, we're talking about the 2 forms of energy, masculine and feminine. And when you think about the most basic form of creation, like the creation of a human being, right? You have the egg and you have the sperm. Little biology 101 here. You have the egg, which is the feminine energy. If she's just sitting, she's just waiting for the right thing to come along, right? She's attracting it into her experience, into her reality. And then you have the sperm, which is the masculine energy. And the masculine energy is the doing. It's the action. It's the being assertive. It's the doing the things that you need to do to chase after what it is that you want, right? And so what I teach as a manifestation coach is how to balance those 2 energies. Because if you sit back too much and you don't do anything, you're not getting into alignment. You're not able to attract the experiences. But also if your masculine energy is out of whack, you're not doing the things that you need to be doing in order to actually align yourself as well. So it's like a delicate dance. You have to kind of get into alignment with your energy levels and figure out what you need to be engaging in. Is it the feminine energy or is it the masculine energy? Because the beauty of it is that when you strike the right balance, you attract the opportunities with your feminine energy, and then you use your masculine energy to go after it in a way that doesn't feel exhausting. It feels aligned. It feels fun. It feels like, oh my God, I love this. I love what I'm doing. So the right, what I call inspired action, or taking that masculine, step forward, the right masculine action won't feel like hard work. It'll feel like, I love what I'm doing. This is really exciting. And everything just happens to be working out at the same time, right? So that's essentially what manifestation is. It's something going from an idea into a tangible reality. And the way that you approach it will determine how easily it manifests, right? Because again, when you're aligning your energy with it on a feminine energy level of like, thinking about the experience, feeling the emotions of it, being tapped into your creativity, right? That's what allows you to attract the experience. And then the right masculine energy will allow you to act on it in a way that makes it more real. The corporate ladder, I feel like a lot of people are waking up and realizing that it's just not weird. We don't win as the employees when we're signing up for a 9-to-5, because a lot of people have a lot of creativity and a lot of, again, with like that manifestor energy of, exactly what it is that you want to be doing. And it being in a 9-to-5 culture really stifles that. And it really kind of puts you in a category where shut up and take orders. You don't get to do what you want. You do what I tell you because I'm paying you, right? Your income is capped at a certain level. And so with a corporate 9-to-5, again, there's always a ceiling, and you can always see exactly where the ceiling is. And that can feel really limiting. And so with the corporate 9-to-5, it's about realizing, how do I feel when I'm working this job? Do I enjoy the work that I'm putting in every day? Do I enjoy the mission that I'm contributing to every day? Or does this feel like a waste of my time? Does this make me feel unaligned? Does this make me feel frustrated? Does it make me feel annoyed or bitter that, oh my God, I hate that I have to be here? Because if that's the case, right, you are not aligned within your career, and your career is something you likely spend 8+ hours a day on. Energetically speaking, it is not a good thing to be doing something for 8 hours a day that you can't stand, right? Once you read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, that's, again, the book that really taught me that it's like your emotional habits every day, the emotions that you return to, the beliefs that you return to, those manifest your life experiences, right? So when you're waking up every morning and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I can't stand what I have to do today. I can't stand this. I have to go to work now and I feel so annoyed. I feel so irritated, right? You wake up every morning, you have those same thought patterns and emotional patterns. You're manifesting more of those experiences, which ultimately leads to a very unhappy life. A lot of people stay miserable for a long time because they felt like a 9-to-5 was their only option. And so they stayed subject to these emotions of, I hate what I'm doing. I hate this job. Nothing feels like, it kind of leaves you into a depressive state. It's not fun at all. People look at their past and in terms of what they've accomplished and what they've experienced, and they think that that is the ceiling, or that's as good as it can get, right? So people stop dreaming big or dreaming bigger, and they limit themselves to what they've accomplished in the past, right? Being delusional is all about breaking the ceiling, because the beauty of it is that there is infinite potential. You can create any experience that you want. You can have any life trajectory that you want. It just requires you to be delusional at the beginning and assume that just because you can't see it yet, just because you don't have the evidence, doesn't mean it's not possible. It's just a matter of time, right? So being delusional is feeding your delusions of, no, I could totally become a 6-figure entrepreneur in a matter of 8 months, right? I could totally do X, Y, and Z. I could totally achieve that, even though you don't have the tangible evidence to prove that yet. So it's almost like blind faith going into it of like, oh, it's totally going to work out, right? Yeah, just because I've never experienced it before, it's never worked out before, doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means it's not here yet, right? So there's this like phrase of like, let's be delulu, let's tap into our delusional energy, right? And that's all about, yeah, I don't need the proof. I know it's going to happen. I can be delusional. Just because I haven't seen it before doesn't mean it's not possible. It's on its way to me. Everything is working out. And that's actually what I teach all of my coaching clients at the beginning of the coaching process, is learn how to be delusional. Don't sit here and tell me, oh, okay, when I ask you what your dream job is or what is your dream income, don't tell me $3,000 a month because that's all you've been able to achieve before. Do you want to be making $10,000 a month? Be delusional. You could totally make $10,000 a month, because ultimately, this is how I like to explain it. When you have the desire for something, you have the desire because you're supposed to have it, right? There's a future version of you at some point in time. There's a timeline where you have that exact thing. And the reason why you want it is because your consciousness is connected to that point in time. So all you really have to do is align yourself with that version of that timeline. And that's how you start to attract the experiences that will actually get you there. So again, the desire, when you have that desire for something, you're supposed to have it. And if you treat your desires like wishes from your future, if you start taking them seriously and you stop saying to yourself, well, I would love to have this, but I'm here right now and I don't know how that's going to work out, right? You're manifesting the point in time where the thing that you want is always far away from you. It's never right here and right now. So if you want to manifest the point in time where you have what you want, you have to think like that right here and right now of, no, it's totally possible. It's right around the corner, right? There's never a ceiling to what's possible until you put it on there, right? So it's about, again, removing the lid of, no, you can achieve anything. You can be whoever you want. You can do whatever you want. You just have to be delusional at first, right? Even though it might feel a little crazy of like, wow, am I really going to believe that I could become an entrepreneur when I've been working a 9-to-5 my whole career? Like, that sounds a little crazy. Just because it's crazy doesn't mean it's unrealistic. It's different from where you are right now, if that makes sense. But it's all possible and it's all on its way to you. And you just have to be delusional at the beginning until you actually see the evidence of it. Stop worrying about the how. Stop worrying about how it's going to work out or what needs to happen to get you there. Just be open to the possibilities and assume that when you want something, the universe already has a plan to bring it to you. There's already a chain of events that's going to happen in your reality. That's going to bring you all the things that you're looking for. You just have to not ruin it by believing that it's not possible, right? So stop thinking that what you want is very far away from you and start believing that it is actually right around the corner, because you will be very surprised as to how many synchronicities and coincidences and fun opportunities that you can manifest just by being open to it and not saying to yourself, oh, well, that could never be possible, or, oh, that can never happen. A lot of us hear a lot of chatter, especially from like our parents, right? Of, you need to stay in that job. It's a secure income. It's a really great setup, right? And that can kind of be the voice in your head that's telling you, well, okay, if you want to manifest, you know, a whole new career where you're doing it, this, that, and the third, quit your 9-to-5 and do whatever you want. Well, how are you going to get there? Start minimizing that voice and telling it to shut up, because that voice actually has no idea what it's talking about, and it's just trying to keep you small. Because a lot of people, what they end up doing is they end up trying to plan the how themselves by trying to figure out what the logistical action steps they need to take are to get to that point in time. But what they don't realize is that they're using their logical mind and not their intuition. And that's the two places that we make decisions from. Your logical mind is the thing that says to you, okay, when we get in the car and we're driving to A, B, and C place, take a left turn here, take a right turn here, right? It's very tangible, very simple experiences. But when you're using your logical mind to try to create circumstances where you don't have the ability to really know the how, like you can't see into the future, right? So you know to turn left and turn right at certain places in the road to get to your house, but do you know really what logistical action steps you need to take to quit your job? Probably not, right? Because you can't see into the future and you don't know for sure that that's what you're supposed to be doing. So my advice is also to stop using your logical mind to try to create your next action steps to achieve this goal in the future, right? What you need to do is start relying on your intuition, because your intuition is actually the version of you that knows exactly how to get to where you want to go. But you have to learn how to follow it if you're actually going to get there. So if you ever get the intuitive urge to do a certain thing, or you feel really inspired to do a certain thing, but you don't know why, that's usually your intuition that's giving you the action step of how to get to where you want to go. But when you're making decisions from a place of panic or fear, that's usually your logical mind, right? Well, I want to quit my job, but oh my God, I can't quit my job because I have to do this, that, and the third. It's like, don't worry about that stuff right now. And that's when you're trying to use your logical mind to come up with the solutions of what you're supposed to be doing. But your logical mind has no idea what is actually going to get you to where you want to go. You have to use your intuition and follow the intuitive urges that you feel, but you can't really explain, if that makes sense. So if you just follow those inspired action steps and you just follow the intuitive things that you feel pulled to do, that's actually what's going to lead you to where you want to go. But again, you have to drop this whole idea or this whole notion that you have to plan out every step yourself, because you don't. Step into your feminine energy, let the universe work out the hard things for you, and just trust that everything is working out. Follow the inspired action that comes up, or the intuitive places that you feel pulled and the things that you feel pulled to do, and watch how everything else just falls right into place.